Hi guys, Shan here. This is going to be a rather weird video, and I know this is happening on the D6 channel, but this is actually something that I'm personally really excited about because I really wanted to talk about this with you guys. And yes, this is the D&D community, and actually something that, you know, makes me personally really excited. I'm terribly out of focus. So, today, or hopefully really late at night, and I do have to apologize. Oh, actually, don't really need all that there air conditioning, at least not for now. Hey, I wanted to make this video because it was something that I thought and would be so excited, and I know there's no major lighting compared to, you know, some of my other videos or even on the streams, but I've been doing some fun stuff, and I think it would be really interesting to talk about with you guys. I am in love with miniatures, and I've always loved miniatures mainly because they're really, really cool, and they bring to life my game that I don't think can be normally done over Roll20 or in any other forms of just online D&D. I think it does not. This is not to say that it doesn't do it at all. I think it's extremely important, especially during this time. And I really want to just kind of go over one of my biggest aspects where I think miniatures are going to be either moving in a certain direction, especially when it comes to 3D printing. See here, all my miniatures. These are all my miniatures that I've been collecting over the past 4 years, and I'm so like into too many miniatures. And to be quite honest, with even all of this stuff, there are still limitations of my game that I don't think that I can portray correctly unless I talk about certain aspects about them. So in case you guys may not notice, that I do have two separate shelves. This is where all my big stuff is, and this is where all my little guys are, and you guys can see some of the really interesting stuff that I have here that I would never have thought that I'd be using, or even some of the stuff up here that I never thought I'd be using ever in my game, mainly because there are times where there are things up here that I will never be able to use in my games unless it is super duper important, or when you have an encounter that your players managed to get out of by just using persuasion checks, which, oh, that's always a joy. Now, here's the thing. When it comes down to it, I really do love being able to throw this on a table and make the game a little bit more exciting. That being said, there are, you know, things here that that you may have saw in the game, and there are things up here that you guys haven't seen during the game. And with the importance of miniatures when I put them on the table is to emphasize the space that my players are in, to kind of give them an idea of what's happening. I've even built entire rigs in order to kind of put these things down, which are my Dwarven Forge tiles, which they are just absolutely amazing. Look what I can do with that. That is amazing. It's PVC, and it's also magnetic on the bottom, so I could put it on a metal thing and it doesn't move anywhere. I love that. That being said, I have been watching some amazing videos on YouTube, and I'll put some links down below to those channels, mainly because they are extremely informative and also a part of this conversation as to where Dungeons and Dragons miniatures are going, and is the advent of 3D printing going to change how Dungeons and Dragons are going to be in the future. One of the biggest things about Dungeons and Dragons is their very liberal clause when it comes to making fan art. So when you make a 3D model, it could be considered fan art, and there is a wonderful creator both on Thingiverse and Shapeways who has just made almost every single mini in the monster manual or in any of the supplementary stuff that has come out, and that is really awesome and really cool. But sometimes, even though those are amazing ideas that I would love to bring to my table, there are also times where that it could be a detriment to my wallet. To give you guys an example, let's talk about a blind box, for example. When we think about the blind box, we go, it's $16, $17 depending on your mom and pop shop, which, as I would always recommend, please go shop at your mom and pop shop or even order from them. Thank God mom and pop shops are so amazing. They're full of things that you never thought you'd be able to find until you actually go to them. So especially when this quarantine is over, or if your laws or government laws are a little bit more lenient, please do go visit them, give them your money because they absolutely deserve it. Amazon is making enough money as already is. But let's go back to the blind box problem, and this is definitely a problem to me. I'll say this guy. This is King Hecaton. Believe it or not, he is, I think, $30 out of a $16 blind box. That's absolutely amazing and awesome, but I'm never gonna drop, what is King Hecaton into my game, at least not anytime soon. Yeah, it's awesome that I have him and I can put him into my game should I so desire it, or should the environment so need him to be. That isn't always the case, and it's really unfortunate because, look, he's awesome and he's well painted and he's pre-painted, and I didn't have to do anything with this, but it's still a $16 buy-in. But let's say that I, as an individual, if I did need him, if I needed just this one, it would cost $30 either on a miniature market or to buy it from a mom and pop shop, because they have to be able to sell these things, to which I don't blame them at all. I have definitely bought individual miniatures for entire encounters before, and they have gone extremely well, but sometimes these miniatures only last for a single game and then, off to the shelf or ether as such. Or let's take a really recent example, and I'm gonna pull out these guys because, I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to show them. These are Bahirs. I got them from a blind box, and the blind box, I think I got a cube of it from Dark Knight Games. They were a wonderful brand new shop that had just come to Lake Elsinore, which was really, really awesome. And I got them from, a big brick that they sold me at a slightly lower price because I was buying a whole bunch of stuff from them at the time, which, once again, mom and pop shops, really awesome, more than willing to help you out. Got 2 of these, and these were going to be definitely for what was going to be an encounter in the Feywild, but that didn't happen. And, when you think about it, hey, I spent, close to $30 just to get these 2. And now I don't get to use them, and that's really sad. If that gives you a slight idea on that whole concept. I think where we are moving towards is this brand new evolution of, hey, why can't I just 3D print it? Which I think is really amazing, and also kind of articulates where tabletop gaming will be moving. And I know from a certain gaming production company, Warhammer, doesn't want you making those miniatures or 3D printing them, but let's be honest, when your miniatures cost hundreds of dollars, that can get relatively pricey. But once again, that might be a slight moot point considering the fact that I spent more than enough money on a brick. Okay, so enough about my problems. Let's talk about one of the big solutions to this whole problem, and this is mainly because this leads to the second shelf here. Ah yes, the shelf of unpainted miniatures, lost to the ether, that in which I will never be able to find time to paint some of these, or the ones that do need to get painted are, sitting here waiting for my brushes to reach upon their brand new colored flesh. Yeah, I have way too many dwarves. If anybody wants them, let me know. As long as you pay for shipping, I'll just send them to you. But yes, I have so many unpainted miniatures because generally when I go and get Nolzars, the Nolzar unpainted miniatures, while really, really high quality and definitely allows you to have the variety of being able to buy paint and then paint them and then put them on the table, and they look really, really nice and really, really cool. And, with my own talent of painting, which I've accumulated over the past 4 years, I'm not exactly sure how I managed to do it. I just, I don't know how I did it. But that's besides the point. I think one of the biggest problems with Nolzars is that they cost $5, $6, depending on mom and pop shop, of course. But one of the biggest problems with that is considering the fact that maybe you only need the one miniature, but you end up with two, and that's already going to cost you $6. Once again, this can, you know, that can cost a lot of money. And even with my leagues of painted miniatures, there are sometimes miniatures that I just only need once and just, you know, put them onto the shelf or into the ether. That sometimes varies depending on the situation. And sometimes it isn't even just the medium size, just, you know, one large size miniature like this wonderful beholder that I painted, which I still haven't painted the base, but I really didn't want to. It kind of felt like it was part of the color. But like I made this guy, I painted this guy, and I was really proud of what I did. But you know, a medium-sized creature like this is gonna cost you at least, I'm not exactly sure, it was like $5-6 on pop shops, man. So what's the solution to my problem? What's the end-all be-all here? I really think that the evolution of tabletop gaming might come in a really expensive box. Yeah, me after spending an unbelievable amount of money, buying miniatures or even like getting some stuff, you know, I spent money on getting a 3D printer, specifically a resin one, mainly because I personally like the quality of resin printers. I once had an FDM printer. In fact, that's exactly how I got the big ancient white dragon back over there printed, which I was just like, oh, that was an awesome experience. But there were also a lot of flaws that came with it that I'm still not exactly happy about. I might even make him on my SLA printer. So what is my SLA printer? What am I doing with it? And what am I going to be making in the future of D6? Well, I'm pretty much going to try and stop buying as many D&D miniatures as I can, and I'm going to actually move to this guy back over here. Oh yeah, this is terribly, horribly lit. I'm going to fix that in the next video. Anyway, behind me you may notice a couple of certain things that you may not be recognizable to. Probably also here, the big boy, really back there, is my Anycubic Photon, which was recommended to me by my friend Matthew Stolton, who actually printed the first D6 resin miniatures, which unfortunately Canis constantly broke, so I decided to just reprint mine on this one. So what is going on back here is pretty much me trying to avoid as much as the problems that come with FDM printers, which they use resin, and which when you use resin, they use fumes, and they can cause a lot of problems. This area is slightly well ventilated. There's a door over there, and also like right now it's behind my shelves. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. I do have to apologize. But yes, like behind me, this is pretty much where I've been doing all my 3D printing. And as of right now, I'm currently printing something that you guys will be actually seeing this Sunday, but this video is coming out on Saturday, so this video is going to be coming out on Saturday, so it doesn't really matter what. This video is coming out on Saturday, so it doesn't really matter when or what. But rather, you guys will know, because if you watched last week's episode, you know exactly what's currently in the 3D printer right now. But also, I have been 3D printing some amazing. But behind me is pretty much my painting chamber, so pretty much anything that I 3D print, I wash off, and then I go let set outside and just let it dry, and then I bring it back here, prime it, and then I'll go sit down for several hours and just start just painting away at some of the little creations that I created. In fact, I made pretty much all the kobolds from last week, and also currently in the printer right now is a T-Rex, which is brought to you by the DM Workshop, who just pretty much, like I said, he makes pretty much all the miniatures in the Monster Manual, which is fantastic. So pretty much everything that's going on back there is all my 3D printing, and if I wanted to buy a Tyrannosaurus Rex, it was going to cost me $15, and I would have had to still paint it. where now I just 3D printed it, and I'm going to be able to put it onto my table by this Sunday. And then once it's done, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it. I can probably sell it, or say if it ever the case that my players go back to the Beast Lands, they'll just face off against a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'm not exactly sure. The joy of D&D. Anyway, my point is, and I really want to go ahead and start showing you guys some of the stuff that is in the 3D printer right now. The fact that I could not just go out and buy Tyrannosaurus Rex, because even my own brick and mortar don't even have that, and then also on top of that, there are no Rakshasas that I could have immediately at my doorstep by this weekend. That was not going to be possible. There are a few things that I try to justifiably say the reason why I do what I do is to kind of separate myself from other D&D tabletop games. And this is not to say offensively towards anyone. I believe everybody should be able to play their game however they like. The reason why I do what I do is because I want to be different, and I want to change the way that gaming is on the internet, because I have a vision. I buy Dwarven Forge, I buy cameras, I buy microphones, I buy a 3D printer, I buy these things mainly because I have a fundamental belief of running my game in three aspects. The first aspect is that I want to make sure that everyone is having fun. A D&D game is not a D&D game if nobody is having fun, and every now and again there will be games where it's just like I try to be as, fun and impossibly awesome as possible. Sometimes that isn't always the case. There is the second aspect, creating something that is interesting. This world is absolutely no fun if it is just another D&D game. That's why I do a lot of homebrew stuff as well. This is why it's my world instead of, the Sword Coast world. The third aspect is presentation. I think this is an important aspect, but this is my trifecta, and it needs to be a perfect balance of the three. The presentation to me is very important. That's why I like high quality miniatures, because they have a very nice high quality presentation. This is the reason why I like really nice cameras, is because they have a high quality presentation. And this is the reason why, I have really nice LED panels sitting on the other side of this room that I decided not to pull over because I decided to make this video at 3 a.m. in the morning. Alright, so this is, once again, the Anycubic Photon, and right now, right there, as you can see, is our Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, you may also notice that there is some supports right there for what was a failed print of a Rakshasa, which I am not going to stop the entire print just so I can pull him out. He should be fine. I'll take him off later. But that's the thing. I'm making a huge monster in this really small size printer. The bed is extremely small and the screen does not actively make things any easier, but still, look at that. Once again, this is the revolution of 3D printing, and also the revolution of tabletop gaming, because we're going to be able to just make this whenever we want, and should we no longer need it, we could probably sell it for maybe $1 or $2, but stuff like that happens. And I'm super looking forward to pulling this thing out and being able to see the wonderful and absolute detail that I don't think I would have gotten on an FDM. So back over here, once again, I kind of want to point out one of the biggest things when it comes to making any of these things, and this is that there are unexpected costs, there are unexpected things that you have to do that you never thought you would had to do, or there are things that you kind of wish you had at the last moment when it comes to a 3D printer that involves resin. But one of the biggest aspects that I like about that is mainly because sooner or later some of this stuff is going to have to go, and I already have filled my entire lower space. I haven't filled any of my unpainted space, but even the top space is absolutely full. I have no idea where I'm going to put this Tyrannosaurus Rex unless I decide to put something back into the box. King Egerton, your place upon the shelf has been here for far too long. To the box you go. Also, once again, you don't have to get like a 3D printer. You like, this is perfectly fine. Nozzles are perfectly fine, or even pre-painted miniatures from blind boxes are perfectly fine. But if you are interested in 3D printing, I really do recommend 3D tabletop printing, I believe. Hold on, let me check. Please do go check out 3D printed tabletop, or if you already have, hey, just so you know, we have a thing in common. That was really awesome. I really like that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you guys are really interested in this channel, or if you guys are interested in me talking about more about D&D stuff, hey, let me know. I would really like to have that conversation with you guys. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend today. Morning, friends. The video is not actually done, even though I said it was going to be done, and that was many hours ago. It is now morning time. I actually look a lot better and less insane, and also daylight. So here's the thing. They say that overconfidence is the folly of man, and man, is that ever so true, because right now out in the sun, our T-Rex is setting. It looks like our T-Rex buddy here had a bit of a problem getting the supports printed in front of him that I did not see. It looks like the supports for the front of his face did not print, which is a mistake on my part, because I think I may know what happened. I just don't know how to fix it. Also, there seems to be a weird stepping situation here. I might just sand that down, but yeah, this is actually the biggest miniature I've ever printed on that printer, and I never really had too many problems. But if that's the case, and that's the case, you know, stuff happens. I'm not going to be too worried about that right now. With that being said, I still have to reprint the Rakshasa that fell into the vat. I also still need to kind of print things that need to get done throughout the week, because I've made a couple of promises to Joe and also a friend of mine that I quickly made because of 3D printing, and we're going to be making some goblins because the first round of goblins that were printed didn't print with his little cape, but he does seem to have a small goblin booty. Look at that. Yeah, so I have to clean out the vat, try and reprint the Rakshasa, and then hopefully if the T-Rex does well enough, I'll just go ahead and just start painting. That being said, hey, thank you guys so much for watching, and hey, this time the video is actually over. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, see you next Sunday. Bye.